You know, it's Monday, and I gotta tell you, I feel slow. You know, one of these days, Monday will feel like Wednesday, and Wednesday will feel like Friday, and it'll be a wonderful, beautiful day in the neighborhood. But unfortunately, Monday will remain Monday, Wednesday will remain Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday will be what they are and will always continue to be. When it comes on dealing with the health ministry of Hamas, you can assure yourself of one thing. It's just a group of people that have literally defined the new definition of being full of malarkey. Now, malarkey was a coined phrase of my generation when MASH 4077 hauled out in the Vietnam War. However,
Korean War.
Korean
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Go on.
Vietnam War, right?
Yeah.
So I could honestly tell you that malarkey. David, I'm going to ask you a few questions before I get our traditional launch. How many times in history have the Israelis, without being provoked, attacked an Arab country?
Without being provoked, zero.
How many times have the Israelis attacked Gaza or the West Bank unprovoked?
Zero.
And one final question. Who invaded whose country on October the 7th?
Oh, that's easy. Hamas and their terrorists and their civilians attacked Israel on October 7th.
Now, if Russia can go and blow up indiscriminately a country it attacked without resolve, why is it the Jewish state being singled out yet again for something called what? Humanitarian reasons? I'm sorry. I think the Russians are blowing up hospitals, schools, and civilian infrastructure, right? And but the world remains silent. However, they're starving children, according to the Hamas health ministry in Gaza. Welcome to the Rant Network. It's a go-to, unapologetic discussion, a podcast, if you would, hosted by David Solomon. He's the guy on the wrong side of the screen, and myself, Stuart Briscoe. We take a group of candid topics and run with it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. And we take this quarter hour to give you an optics that we get from the news, media, and many other sources to bring you reality. So sit back, relax, and settle in, because I'm sure David's going to make this a wild ride. David?
So, I got to tell you, it is just an incredible thing how the world has decided that it needs to be the spokesperson for a terrorist organization. That's right, terrorist organization. Because there's no sense in anything more than that. All it really comes down to is, how do we create an environment in which we paint Israel as always the bad guy? And it almost always consistently has a pattern, Stuart. As Hamas continues to get the pressure on them to release the final hostages, to disarm, something has to happen. Notice consistently that throughout the entirety of the war, that's exactly what happens. That every time Hamas's back is against the wall, they come up with a scheme to put pressure on Israel. And the scheme this time, aided and abetted by the United Nations, Al Jazeera, and the media partners, is, Stuart, the starvation in Gaza. That's right. What you're hearing is that Israel is purposefully starving people in Gaza. Now, it's really interesting, Stuart, because these images that you see floating around on screen, claiming to have a 31-year-old carrying her 18-year-old malnourished son, and so on, and all these heart-ripping images that started Al Jazeera, and it works its way through CNN and the New York Times and the BBC in Australia and the world, and this CBC in Canada and the rest of the world. And all of these horrifying images, they're frightening, they're disgusting. Oh my goodness. But these images could have also been from Sudan, Yemen, where there are starvation, where there's real palatable starvation. But you see, Stuart, facts don't matter when it comes up to here. All that matters is how to squash and destroy the little state of Israel. She can't do anything right. She's never in the right. Even when she helps a child. Oh, wait a second. What are we talking about here? I'm sure you've seen this 5-year-old. This is another one, but there's a 5-year-old child. He's got, look at this, these pictures of people desperately coming. It's all Israel's fault. Look at the deprivation. Look at the starvation. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Image after image after image after image, except the fact that these images are made up and fake. They're made up to create an illusion. This child, his image has been floating around like you can't imagine. 5-year-old boy. They say he's starving. He's not starving. He's dealing with a genetic illness, Stuart. He's not starving. His brother, the New York Times ran an image of this child, starving child. The New York Times didn't vet the image. Because if they would have seen the brother in the background, Stuart, fully nourished. Because it doesn't make a difference. Facts don't matter. Israel has said that there are thousands of pallets all over the Gaza Strip waiting to be issued. The United Nations is not distributing it. And of course, the pushback. Oh, no, don't blame the United Nations. The United Nations is never at fault. The United Nations is never wrong. It's really Gaza, it's really Israel and the United States, especially Israel, stalling, not letting international aid come in. All these stories to make Israel look bad. All for one purpose and one purpose only, Stuart. To derail the talks with Hamas.
David,
You see, Hamas last week decided, Stuart, that they didn't want to negotiate. They wanted thousands and thousands of not only the terrorists, convicted criminals, but the people who on October 7th committed these heinous crimes be released in exchange for the remaining hostages. And the world says you got to do it. And then Hamas is sitting here going, we're in the power seat because it's not just this, Stuart. It's not just the humanitarian aid. Emmanuel Macron last week announces that France is going to declare an independent Palestinian state, followed by Keir Starmer from the UK, followed by Australia, followed by my fucking idiot Prime Minister Mark Carney. They're all going, yeah, great idea. Without really caring about the repercussions, the arrogance of the West, without caring, because it's really about, Stuart, they're afraid of losing votes in their own country because they've gone to bed with the enemy. They've gone to bed with these terrorists, and now this is the pay. Imagine, if you will, Stuart, this is the pay. You gave me a vote, I'll vote for terrorism. Beautiful move by the prime ministers of Canada, of the UK, of Australia, the president of France, and all other world leaders who believe that this is the right thing. Stuart, it's amazing to see that you're rewarding terrorists. You're rewarding terrorists. The next move for them, I'd like, here's where I'm going to take a page out of your book. You're going to love this one. I think that Israel and the United States need to do the following. If you're going to declare an independent Palestinian state, I would like to see the following declarations. The declaration of the recognition of the independent state of Quebec, the independent of Scotland seceding from the UK, from the Basques seceding from France, from the Tasmanians seceding from Australia. We will recognize independent states through all these things, and we won't give a shit about the repercussions that we're going to cause. Yes, if the United States was to stand with with Israel, and make these declarations and empower and embolden these secessionist movements, these independent movements, and say, by the way, we're going to give you arms because if you don't get what you want, go kill people. Because look what you get. You'll get an independent state because we reward terrorism.
Okay. I just got to jump in here, David. I'll keep things really simple. Is Hamas listed as a worldwide terrorist organization?
Not worldwide. There are countries that still won't recognize Hamas as a terrorist organization.
What Western countries have them not listed as a terrorist organization?
I don't have the list in front of me, but not every country has listed
Well, let's
Hamas.
find. But
Sorry.
the United States has them listed as a terrorist organization. I believe Canada does as well. Let's go onward.
What difference does it make?
Who, this thing called hostages, right? Yeah. We sort of stopped talking about them pretty much in the media. Who has hostages?
Stuart, the only people talking about the hostages is the Israeli media and anybody wearing these dog tags, and they're sitting right now with Hamas.
A terrorist organization has hostages. All right, great. Does the UN Worldwide Council visit these hostages?
Oh, no. First of all, the Red Cross said they can't. It's too dangerous. UNICEF didn't care. Okay. None of them cared.
That was my next one. Did the Red Cross do its job by ensuring the Geneva Convention, right? So these hostages are kept with the standard of the Geneva Convention that any Western, any modern country would have to keep in a war zone, correct?
Oh, well, Stuart, of course, because if you talk to the hostages that were released, they were treated with kid gloves, hotel accommodations. They got to watch Netflix all day long.
Which was my next point. These hostages and the images, David, that we have seen that were returned from October 7th, horrific incursion, invasion, act of war.
Yes, sir.
Got really the best medical and food that every single country in the world would demand, correct?
Well, listen, they would demand it, but they're just Jews. It doesn't make a difference.
So we don't have those images circulating around like we do these more than likely stock images from Gaza.
No, of course, but Stuart, it doesn't make a difference because a Jew had to prove. Let's go back to October and November and December and January of when the war started. When Israel said that women were raped, children were beheaded, burnt in ovens, what was Israel told? Prove it. But every accusation by far made by Hamas didn't have to be proven. Go back to the hospital. 500 people killed in a hospital attack by Israel, right? Within seconds of a missile hitting the area. Not only did it not hit the hospital, it hit the parking lot. It wasn't from Israel. It was from Hamas, and on top of it all, you can't count 500 bodies in 37 seconds, and there was not even close to 500. And again, every single time, it's the same thing. Look, Stuart, the BBC is going to put eventually another one of those famous, "Ooh, we're sorry, we misreported," but by then it doesn't matter. The world is. Look, Stuart, did you catch the? Let me tell you what the damage this causes. There's a podcast right now floating around of a bunch of Gen Zs sitting around asking what to do about the Jewish problem. Asking maybe we should kill Jews. Maybe we should eliminate Jews. Do you understand what this is? What this has caused is a reimagination of 1930s, of what Hitler wanted in the 1930s. And by the way, this is not just from extreme right, it's from extreme left, it's from the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. They continue to push these narratives. The media pushes these narratives. And at the end of the day, we have learned nothing in 90 odd years, like I keep saying, and we keep repeating this. The amazing thing is that there is no censorship. But what you said at the beginning is amazing. Nobody's condemning Russia, but they're going to say there's no starvation in Ukraine.
David, the same way no one is drawing reference to the 1930s is the same reason, David, that for the last 5 years, on multiple occasions, and I wish someone has the ability to go through all of our podcasts on how many times I've referenced back to the 1930s and have been stymied and stopped because why are you going down that rabbit hole? That's the rabbit hole where I saw things before and see things today. The optics are grim. the repercussions are absolutely destroying in anyone's mind the world as we know it.
Mhm.
And to be honest with you, if Macron goes through with what he goes through, he would only solidify the fact that he is an imperialist and is the sole reason why this problem even exists, right? Where they've gone along and made a decision for another sovereign nation. You know, the big difference is this is Judea. In the Quran, there is no mention of Palestinians. But how many
And Quran
times
is
is there
the-
mentioned the people of Judah?
Stuart, it doesn't
I'm
matter.
done. Facts don't matter.
don't
You're right.
matter.
You're right.
Facts don't matter. And I'll put it to you this
Uh-huh.
way. If the United States, and I know that Donald Trump is right now in the, in Europe, he's meeting up with the Europeans. He wants to meet up with Keir Starmer, who really wants to push this whole business. That's lovely, guys. I agree. I'll tell you something. If that's what you want, no problem. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, if you want to go ahead and create this kind of environment in Israel, be prepared for this to happen in your country.
On that note, David, I'm going to wrap it up and wish the sovereign Constatake Reserve declare its independence from the state or province of Quebec immediately. I hope the Iroquois take the Midlands and let Carney burn in his office. And that brings this rant to a close. Kind of weird ending, but nevertheless, we're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. We hope you continue to enjoy our quarter hour of basically ranting and raving about the reality of the world. Guys, take care. Be well. See you next time. Be passionate. Send us a PM. Follow us. Like us. Message us.